Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Today we're dealing with a case of an ingrown toenail on a patient who has already had similar issues with the other foot. By the way, if you're interested in seeing the video of his right toe, which became one of the most commented on in the channel, I'll leave the link in the comments and in the card below. This procedure is fascinating because it requires meticulous attention and technical expertise to prevent complications. In this patient's case, he noticed the problem early this time, which is great because it stops the situation from getting worse, like he did with his right toe, where a grade 3 granuloma formed. What we're seeing here is that the nail wasn't cut incorrectly, as often happens. Instead, it was crushed, probably due to tight footwear or an anatomical variation in the bone of the little toe, which is slightly turned inward. This position makes the toe more prone to injury, and the nail, which has a slightly fan-shaped form, becomes even harder to cut properly at home. The first step is to thoroughly clean the area. We use antiseptic solutions to prevent infections, since the skin around the nail is inflamed and sensitive. Here there were no spicules, those sharp nail edges that dig into the flesh, which is a good sign, but we still need to work carefully. I use specific instruments like precision podiatry clippers and curettes to gently lift the nail and relieve the pressure on the skin. If needed, we might make small cuts to free the ingrown nail, but always with local anesthesia, because even though it's a simple procedure, we want to ensure the patient feels no pain. Here's an interesting fact. Ingrown toenails, or onychocriptosis, are more common in people with nails that grow laterally more prominently, or in those who wear very tight shoes, like sneakers or high heels. In our patient's case, he mentioned that the problem started just 3 weeks ago when he felt pain while wearing sneakers. He thought it would get better on its own, but as we saw, the pain only increased. If he had waited longer, he could have developed a granuloma like on his other toe, which requires a more complex treatment, sometimes even involving cauterization. Another technical detail, during the procedure we noticed that the nail is embedded in the flesh, causing local inflammation. We'll carefully remove the surrounding skin and, if necessary, apply a stronger medication to speed up healing. After freeing the nail, we'll apply a special dressing and give the patient instructions on post-procedure care. In some cases, like these patients, we might recommend using a digital spacer to prevent the little toe from being crushed again by the second toe, reducing the risk of recurrence. While I perform this procedure, my heart aches a little seeing how much the patient suffered before coming to me. Many people are afraid to seek help because of myths, like the idea that the procedure is very painful or will leave scars. I want to reassure you, it's not like that! As a podiatrist, my goal is to relieve pain and bring comfort, always with the utmost care. Our patient today, for example, admitted he was scared, like most people, but he was surprised at how quick and painless the process was. That makes me so happy, knowing I can help and that he trusted me to solve this problem. It's also important to remember that each case is unique. Some ingrown nails are simpler, while others, like those that develop into granulomas, require more attention. But no matter the severity, my commitment is to the well-being of those who come to me. If you're watching and feel pain in your feet or have questions about your nails, don't hesitate to see a professional. You don't need to suffer in silence, okay? Take care of yourself, because your feet deserve attention and love. So, everyone, where are you watching from today? Is there someone from Brazil, the United States, Europe, or even other parts of the world? Let me know in the comments. I love knowing where my audience is coming from because it motivates me to keep creating content that helps you. Let's interact a lot, okay? Share your opinion, your doubts, or even your experience with ingrown nails. Who knows, your story might help someone else going through the same thing. Now that I've shown you the procedure, I'm going to share some valuable tips for those who want to prevent or deal with ingrown nails in the future. First, avoid cutting your nails too short or at sharp angles, as this can make ingrowth more likely. Use nail scissors or clippers designed for nails, and if possible, keep your nails clean and dry to avoid infections. After the procedure, it's essential to follow the podiatrist's instructions. In our patient's case, he'll need to come back for a follow-up in 1 or 2 weeks, depending on how the healing is progressing. We'll check if the new skin is growing well and if there are no signs of inflammation. He'll also use a topical medication to speed up recovery and, as I mentioned, a digital spacer to protect the toe. Here's a fun fact. Did you know genetics can influence the likelihood of ingrown nails? If your parents or grandparents had this issue, you're more likely to face it too. Another tip is to pay attention to your footwear. Shoes that are too tight or have narrow toes are the biggest enemies of foot health. Invest in comfortable models with enough space for your toes. And if you've had an ingrown nail before, watch out for signs like redness, swelling, or pain when pressing the area. These are warnings that something's wrong, and it's better to seek help before the problem gets worse. Oh, and never try to remove an ingrown nail at home with improvised tools like needles or regular tweezers. That can lead to serious infections. Before I finish, I have a super important request. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to get all the updates. Seriously, this makes a huge difference. About 90% of the people who watch my YouTube videos don't follow me yet, and I need your help to show YouTube that this content is valuable. When you like, comment, or subscribe, you're helping to prove that what I produce isn't low quality or irrelevant. That motivates me to keep bringing more information, procedures, and tips to care for foot health. And that's not all. Share this video with anyone you know who needs help with ingrown nails or is interested in podological health. Together, we can reach more people and make a difference in their lives. To close, if you have a nail problem or feel pain when walking, don't ignore it. See a professional, ask for help, invest in yourself. Every step we take in life deserves to be taken with comfort and confidence. How about starting today to pay more attention to your feet? See you in the next video. Bye for now.